Tonight on News 5 Live, BDF Major Radford Biser is laid to rest at Homeland Memorial. Stevedores returned to work as Christian Workers Union and the Port of Belize Limited signed an MOU on the way forward. Alden Lara is charged for the murder of Michael Barrera and making every dollar count. PM Barrow's final budget presentation before retirement is dissected. Details of these stories and more coming up in tonight's newscast.
What's better than a
Good evening. Welcome to News 5 Live for Friday, March 6th. I am Charlie Hutchinson. Prime Minister Dean Barrow proceeded to deliver his final budget estimates on Thursday, but the opposition side of the aisle was empty as the Air representatives had vacated the chambers before the presentation. The budget is titled Making Every Dollar Count, and in this, an election year, the estimates call for more spending on infrastructure, more loans and grants, and no new taxes. Government proposes a total spending and investment of $1.3 billion, $109 million for capital projects. Salaries and increments of public officers, which have doubled in the past 12 years, are budgeted at $540 million. News 5's Isani Caetano breaks it down.
The General Revenue Appropriations Bill 2020 was tabled in the House of Representatives on Thursday morning to an audience of UDP supporters only. That's because moments earlier, the opposition and its followers exited the Assembly building en masse. What should have been presented as a final budget reading by Prime Minister Dean Barrow in his entire splendor to a gallery of onlookers from both political parties was nothing more than a lukewarm affair delivered in the absence of the People's United Party.
Today, as everyone knows, is the final budget presentation of this Parliament and my swan song as Minister of Finance and Prime Minister of this country. I consider the results for this year and the proposals for the next to be persuasively positive, born of dexterous public sector management and collaboration amongst the various sectors of our society. To be sure, Madam Speaker, the conditions of the public finances are inextricably bound to the larger Belizean economy, and that economy is sharply attuned to the regional and global tempo. Noteworthy it is then that from the very start of our first term in 2008, this administration has, more often than not, operated under markedly hostile conditions.
And with that, the Prime Minister painstakingly rehashed the many obstacles that were encountered by the United Democratic Party upon assuming office 12 years ago. That tedious trip down memory lane culminated with the PM lauding his administration for increasing twofold the budget's recurrent revenues since 2008.
In 2008, the budget's recurrent revenues stood at $591 million. Today, this bedrock factor of public finances stands at $1.184 billion, double the level of 12 years ago. And on the investment side, there is one focal measure, one yardstick that distills and defines the reasons for being of this administration. A stunning accomplishment that elevates our work to the topmost summit of progressive governance. That is, Madam Speaker, this year's investment in personal emoluments for all our 14,000 or so public officers, police and military personnel, all our teachers, nurses, doctors, and every last person who serves our citizens. And of course, the approximately 1,000 pensioners we look after in their post-service life. Thus it is that salaries for all those just listed amount now to $540.5 million, up from just $276.3 in 2008.
In bringing things up to date, the financial year 2020, commencing April 1st, will see an aggregate of $1.3 billion in spending and investment.
Fortunately, the fiscal year 2020-21 budget which we propose today, representing total spending and investment of $1.362 billion, plus $109 million for principal repayments, funds an extensive envelope of capital projects. It also preserves the salaries and the increments of all public officers. And it facilitates our expanding menu of pro-poor, education, healthcare, and citizen security programs. 2 budgets ago, with tourism expanding at a record clip, foreign direct investment flowing into the economy, and global conditions promising an extended period of growth, we had achieved a remarkable 4% of GDP turnaround, adjusting our budget to a modest primary surplus. Our target was a sustained period of at least 2% primary surpluses to pare the public debt and build a margin for black swan events. Alas, first the drought and now the coronavirus compel us to play offense, to act decisively. We must therefore accept some short-term slippage to our fiscal targets in order to preserve the gains for the ultimate good of the economy and the well-being of the Belizean people.
In looking at the external sector, Prime Minister Barrow admits that there continues to be more imports than there are exports of goods and services.
The current account deficit of the balance of payments widened modestly to 4.5% of GDP in 2019. The expansion reflected a larger merchandise trade deficit that overshadowed measurable improvements in tourism receipts, workers' remittances, and reduced profit repatriation. The trade balance expanded as the growth in imports of goods grew faster than merchandise exports.
The 2020 budget will be debated on March 19th and 20th. Reporting for News 5, I am Isani Cayetano.
Operations have normalized at the Port of Belize Limited, with stevedores resuming work. Both parties came to an agreement after days of industrial action on the part of the stevedores and strike action by the staff at the port. The stevedores have been protesting since Monday following reports that ASR-BSI would be exporting raw sugar through the Big Creek port and not the Port of Belize. A statement from ASR-BSI states that the company is still evaluating the results of its trial run of having its raw sugar exported through Big Creek. The millers say that at this time it is not changing its shipping and logistic operations. The statement also says that any evaluation of alternatives will be thorough and will consider all variables such as potential savings to the industry, including cane farmers and faster loading rates through a deep water port. The stevedores forced PBL's management to the bargaining table. Both parties met with the Minister of State for Labour, Dr. Carla Barnett, where several agreements in principle were achieved. CWU President Evan Mose-Hyde says that a 21-day notice has been served, as stevedores are prepared to return to industrial action if the negotiations lack genuine interest and determination to resolve the issues and respect.
What PBL has done to us is put our members through 24 hours of hell. We explained to the minister that what port has done by participating in our process where we come up, we members and we tell them, yeah, this is the way we want to do the thing, this is the way how we're going forward. If we members accepted that process, we can't give any sense to them people out there, whether they're businesses, shipping agents, whoever they are. We can't give them no sense that this situation has moved from crisis stage. This situation remains in a crisis stage, and we have to label it as that because these people who've been hounding for this situation to resolve must know that they can't go quiet now, they can't go in the dark and pretend as if though, well, if something go wrong, if stevedores is forced because of the lack of cooperation over the next 21 days to move, 20 days, because it's now 20 days. We sent in our letter to indicate that we would go on strike in 21 days, which means that we have lost a day. We are down now to 20 days. We need the stakeholders, we need everybody to understand. Do not think that stevedores are going around in circles. Who going in circles? PBL might be going in circles, but not stevedores. We have one straight line where we need to achieve. That is, we need to create one security package in the event, which we believe to be highly likely to the point of we are almost certain that it's going to happen. That is the movement of sugar to Big Creek. We have to get that done. On the part of our members over there, the shed, in the mechanic shop, the staff, we have certain dates when we are supposed to get certain things from PBL. If those things are not done, we want to say again to the stakeholders, we will end up right here at square one. We have said that to the minister. So the receivership compared to our members that Johnny come lately. Johnny come lately. So how can the nation of Belize accept that a Johnny come lately can treat born multi-generational custodians of this asset, developers of this asset, in such a way that is insulting, disrespectful, and taking us to a brink where we can have a very ugly situation on the waterfront. We are saying this to the leaders, we are saying this to the major stakeholders. Over the next 21 days, we have a serious matter that we are dealing with. And don't come to us when we have to do what we have to do.
The staff of the Port of Belize Limited also had issues with PBL's management and joined the stevedores. For the staff, the most serious issue is the lack of progress towards concluding a new collective bargaining agreement to replace the existing agreement which has been in place for over 17 years. Staff representative Wayne Lambie says that they will continue to stand with the stevedores.
What happened was a work abuse, we believe. We have a collective bargaining agreement that was 16 years old, and the port management keep insisting that they were following to all the regulations on that agreement. However, we had some concern with those. Like we said, the people signing contract that lasted for more than 5 years, that they were still considered casual workers. We also have problem where the union agreement stated that we should get 20 days holiday. On the contract, port gave 10 days. So those were the concerns we had.
And in the meantime, in their work proceeds at the shed?
No, nothing moves until we have that signed document. Yesterday, we were alluded that there would be a signed document yesterday. So we were waiting patiently for the document to be signed yesterday. It was not signed yesterday, but we as a responsible union went out with the holiday leave and decided to go and work, waiting on that would have been signed. When we heard later during the day that was not signed, then we reverted back to the strike action that we are doing today.
Executive Officer for the Port of Belize Limited, Arturo Tux Vasquez, says that the port, which is in receivership, has suffered financially, and the decision by BSI to use Big Creek Port will be based on the quality of service that is provided. Vasquez says that he does not see any justifiable reason as to why a 21-day notice of strike action was instituted, since there is no dispute.
But there are several conditions that we have signed to. Briefly, one is what happens if BSI moves to Big Creek, which is one of the bigger issues. In that instance, we have 21 days to agree on an MOU as to how we will progress with that redundancy, and also we have another 60 days after that to put a full package together. That, of course, will take several discussions. This is in no way committing the port to being responsible for any redundancies. It's just to look at what it is. In all of this, of course, the stevedores plays a critical role as well, because if you're not providing proper and good service to your customer can also leave. I am saying that you could move because you are not getting the best service. So my point was that it is still in the hands of the CWU and us who are providing the service to BSI to give them the best service. If that turns out not to be the case, then that's also a reason to move. And to be honest, it only affects the stevedores who work sugar. That also has to be clear. It is not all the stevedores. It's only the stevedores who work sugar would be the ones that would, if that is the case, would have to be compensated if that loss or that change drastically happens. So it's only the stevedores that works sugar. We agree in principle that we are moving forward. What we did not agree on at the meeting was how long will it take to do these things, right? As far as I'm concerned, that is not a dispute. That is an agreement. Am I correct? We agree that these things should be looked at. We agree that we should sign and say we will move ahead by addressing these situations, right? So we leave from a meeting where I believe it was productive and we are moving ahead. You only institute a 21-day dispute if you have a dispute. So my question to them that day when they sent the letter to me was, can you tell me what the dispute is? Because we didn't have a dispute. We had a discussion as to how we will move forward. We agreed to it, and then we were supposed to sign on it. So what is the dispute?
So
Why is a 21-day notice being instituted if there is no dispute?
The last Belize Defense Force soldier who died in the helicopter crash was buried today. Major Radford Biser, a highly trained and accomplished pilot and instructor of the BDF Air Wing, received a funeral service with military honors. Today, city residents and a number of public officials gathered to pay respects to the fallen soldier. Biser and his three colleagues, including the Air Wing commander Adran Ramirez, died when the chopper they were traveling in went down. We followed Biser's memorial service from the church to the burial site. Here's the story.
Biser was very candid when he asked why he joined the BDF. And he joined for one reason, to become a pilot.
And an outstanding and pioneering pilot he became. Major Radford Biser was a decorated pilot and instructor of the Belize Defense Force's Air Wing team. He joined the force in 2006, and he trained and worked hard to make that dream come true. He returned from his aviation studies to become Belize's first military helicopter pilot.
He was selected to attend the Caribbean Military Aviation School, CMAS, in Kingston, Jamaica. Major Biser flourished, completing phase 1 and 2 in fixed wing, single engine aircraft, namely the Diamond DA-40. And he went on to complete phase 3 in rotary, and that is civilian language, the Bell 206 Jet Ranger. Major Biser returned to Belize, and he was the first helicopter pilot. An accomplishment not only his blood and BDF families should be proud of, but the nation as well.
But his accomplishments didn't end there. He went on to become one of the best helicopter pilot instructors.
After pilot training, Biser excelled at the Air Wing, and he went on to become an aircraft captain on the BN-2B Defender. When Belize received rotary assets for the first time, he also was captain on the UH-1H Huey helicopter. But he topped his class and was selected to undergo additional training. That made him an helicopter instructor pilot. He was chartered with the responsibility to train all young officers, developing them into co-pilot and aircraft captain on the UH-1H helicopter.
And he was piloting one such aircraft when his illustrious career and life ended 1 week ago. Biser, along with his colleagues Major Adrian Ramirez, Corporal Reynaldo Choco, and Corporal Yasir Mendez, were killed when the helicopter they were in went down in the Western Lagoon off the coastal road. The Air Wing men were providing air surveillance support to law enforcement authorities who had intercepted a drug plane. But his achievements and service to the country is what has brought out residents from all over to pay respects as his casket was led through the streets in a military procession to the St. John's Cathedral Anglican Church. There, government officials, colleagues, family and friends celebrated his life this afternoon. Relative Benson Matthews fondly remembers Biser's life, from his dreams to being a father and a selfless friend.
His dream was to join the Belize Defense Force and become a pilot and serve his country with pride and honor. In 2006, Radford resigned from Belize Medical Associates and took his officer selection board examination, in which he was successful. This was one of the happiest days of his life as he got to pursue his life's dream. Radford Lee Biser grew up in Lake Independence on the south side of Belize. He rose from humble beginnings to outstanding achievements. He was an exemplary citizen whom Southside could proudly claim as their own. Radford was a devoted father who spent quality time with his children and created lots of beautiful memories. One of his favorite father-son memories was motorcycle rides with Rain. Rain was placed in front of him on the motorbike, which allowed Rain to turn around and say to Radford, "I love you, Dad." Raddy loved helping others. He was always there for family and friends to assist in any way he could. He was authentic, dependable, considerate, and always wore a welcoming smile.
After the service, Biser's casket was led once more through the streets for residents to pay last respects in Belize City. It was then led in a motorcade to the Homeland Memorial Cemetery on the George Price Highway. He was sent off with a 21-gun salute to the strains of the Bugler's last post. Radford Lee Biser, Major of the Belize Defense Force, dead at 35 years old. Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.
Coming up, highlights of the marathon debate on a vote of no confidence against the PM.
Hello, friends. This is Dr. Bob Roberts with another
The debate on the motion of no confidence tabled by the opposition was the final agenda item during Thursday's special sitting of the House of Representatives. The debate lasted until 10 o'clock in the night, with members from both sides of the floor offering criticism or defending their party's position on a number of socio-economic issues affecting the country. One such ground for which the opposition says it has lost confidence in the government was the recent judgment by Chief Justice Kenneth Benjamin in respect of the Petro-Caribe challenge. The CJ ruled that the Minister of Finance illegally expended approximately $1.5 billion from the public purse. While that judgment has not been perfected, the PUP has referenced that decision at every turn to bolster its position that the Barrow administration has failed miserably. While PM Barrow, in responding to the criticism, is asking for the written judgment and maintains that supplementary allocations are perfectly legal since it is enshrined in the Constitution of Belize.
I am yet to see any written judgment from the Chief Justice. And the member for Cayo South is showing either ignorance or willful deception when he will try to tell this nation that it is a commonly accepted practice for judgments to be delivered, oral judgments to be delivered, without being followed by written reasons. That may have happened on occasion, but if it happened, it was very wrong. The lawyer right beside you will tell you that. There are, because you complain about a certain judge in terms of his failing to do what the duties absolutely require him to do. Do not try to pretend that it is correct for an oral judgment based on some kind of short written note not to be followed by written reasons for decision. And I repeat, Madam Speaker, we are yet to see any written reasons for decision with respect to this case. In any event, whatever order the Chief Justice made, he froze for a period of 6 months, saying that he was giving, as I understand it, a chance to the government and to the House to cure what he saw as the ills that had taken place. The point I want to make is this. Under the Constitution of this country, it is perfectly permissible, and it is the same throughout the CARICOM region. It is perfectly permissible, Madam Speaker, and I think the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs read out the section of the Belize Constitution.
Cayo South Area Representative Julius Espat, who also chairs the Public Accounts Committee, slammed the Barrow administration for failing the people of Belize after 12 years in office. That point was fervently supported by opposition leader John Briceño, who zeroed in on Belize City's south side, where a consolidation of the most powerful government ministers has not been able to turn things around for the residents south of the Hallover Creek.
We are here to debate, Madam Speaker, is the actions of our Prime Minister, who, in all honesty, should sit at the most honorable office and chair that this country has to offer. The Belizean people, Madam Speaker, as the Honorable Cordell mentioned, gave him the country on a golden platter. The people in 2008 decided that the People's United Party had to be changed. And the people of Belize overwhelmingly voted for him and his party to form government, with the hope, Madam Speaker, that they would do better. Madam Speaker, in 2008, the platform for the Prime Minister was one of reform and good governance. The essence of his campaign was that. Madam Speaker, the unions were with them. he had called for civil disobedience because we, on this side, I wasn't there at the time, but our party supposedly were doing such horrible things. And so he called for civil disobedience. He broke up portions of this prestigious institution, the footsteps of it, Madam Speaker, and we are here now 12 years after the fact.
They have done nothing so that young people would lose their jobs and then go out on the street at a time when Belize City they go through the worst time ever in its history. The proud people of Belize City are punishing. There's more crime, there's more poverty, more children can't go to school, there's more hunger. And I walk the streets of Belize City. No, Michael, I walk the streets of Belize City just like you. I walk the streets of Belize City just like you. I don't tell you I know them better than you. I will not tell you I know them better than you. I know they say that. But I walk the streets of Belize City just like you. And I understand the pain and suffering when they go through that Belize City. And you know what is even more painful? What is even more painful is that the most powerful ministers of the UDP government are from the south side.
Sitting way to the back after leaving cabinet, Belmopan area Representative John Soldiver also weighed in on the no confidence motion by drawing comparisons between the present government and the PUP government of the past. It is a juxtaposition that has long since become trite, to the point that it lacks any real punch. But for the Barrow administration, it is tried and true.
If this vote of no confidence were to succeed today, it would mean that they would get a chance to become the government. If they are, Madam Speaker, the option, the alternative that this country has, then we must compare our records. And at the end of the day, when we are done with that comparison, I am sure that the Belizean people will give this administration another vote of confidence. A vote of confidence that has been repeated in 3 general elections. A vote of confidence that has been repeated in 4 municipal elections. And Madam Speaker, if things were so bad as the members over there have painted and as the member for Lekai in his usual style tried to paint, how come it is that only less than a year ago there wasn't this overwhelming victory for the People's United Party in village council elections? How come it is that the people have not risen up against this government? And don't tell me about your crowd, which we have questions about that. At my launching, I had over 6,000. So we can put together numbers, just like how you can put together numbers, because as much as there are 30% or 40% of this country that's UDP, just about the same amount are PUP. And we could bring crowd just like UNO.
Deputy Party Leader Cordell Hyde also took the opportunity during the debate on the no-confidence motion to chide the Southside area representatives of Belize City for the conditions being faced by their constituents. In his usual layman presentation, Hyde expressed disappointment in the government of the day, which, in his opinion, has had 12 years to do right by the people who voted them into office.
The people in this country were excited for a UDP government in 2008. Out of 31 seats, you guys won 25. And we could have lose all 31. Some of our guys won by 16 votes. Because when the people are fed up, nobody is safe, brother. We saw it in 1998 and we saw it in 2008. So the people were all behind you. The people on the South Side were excited. They were going to have the best and the strongest ministers in all the land. They were going to have the Prime Minister, the Minister of Finance, the Deputy Prime Minister, who's the Minister of Education, the Minister of Housing, the Minister of Human Development, Social Transformation and Poverty Alleviation, Minister of Foreign Affairs, they even got the Minister of Trade. And what has happened? We have more poverty on the south side than ever before. We have more people dying every day than ever before. We have more people who are looking for work and can't find work than ever before. More of our children are out of school on the streets than ever before. More of our people are living in broken down houses. You guys failed the people of Belize. You failed the south side of Belize City. You were supposed to be different. That's what you promised.
At midnight, the pump prices for regular gasoline will go up by 50 cents per gallon, which means that it will now sell at $10.23 per gallon. The price for premium gasoline will remain at $10.40, kerosene at $6.62, and diesel at $9.84 per gallon. Today, police escorted Adele Lara before Magistrate Kadeem Palmer to face a charge of murder. Lara is accused of Tuesday evening's shooting that claimed the life of Michael Barrera. The social worker had just placed an order for food at a takeout outlet on Central American Boulevard near its junction with Iguana Street. Police said that the shooter came from the direction of Iguana Street and was targeting another person who was also waiting to be served at the business establishment. It was presumably a gang-related attack. The intended target fled and managed to escape unscathed. Police had detained several persons, but only Lara has been charged. He is remanded to the Hattieville prison until June 2nd. After the break, the Belize Peace Movement returns to court for its redistricting case. Chief Justice Kenneth Benjamin today adjourned the redistricting case until next Friday to allow Senior Counsel Andrew Marshallek, on behalf of interested party in the case, Lord Michael Ashcroft, to present affidavits as it relates to the expert witnesses who they are seeking the court to consider to give testimony. Marshallek explained with apology that the particulars of those expert witnesses are still not available, hence he asked the court for an extension to provide those documents. Chief Benjamin allowed the extension to next Wednesday for the case to resume on March 13th. Attorney for the Belize Peace Movement, Arthur Saldivar, explained to reporters what is expected next week in court, while Bobby Lopez said he is interested in seeing what the expert witnesses will bring to the table.
Next Friday, we come back to give the court our assessment of the persons who are to be considered to be the court's expert, whether we accept them or don't accept them, and on what basis do we accept or reject them. Being a good Christian, I believe in the redemptive quality. No? We believe that all men can be redeemed. In this particular instance, a man who is seen as taking a lot away from Belize is looking to give us back something. I will not look a gift horse in the mouth. If he is going to assist by paying for these people, hey, all power to him. We don't know who the people are yet, so I cannot tell you.
He's paying for the interested
He's paying for the expert. That's his contribution. So he's giving back something to Belize.
We have our experts. I want to see what different these experts are going to bring that our own homegrown Belizean experts haven't produced to us. Quite honestly, and what they'll be paying $55,000 US for when we could keep that money right here in the country, or actually have someone here in Belize be paid that amount. We have that. Don't shortchange ourselves. We always think that the expert has to come from outside. Man, we could fix this problem, and we have the technology to fix this problem, and the expertise, the knowledge that we can fix this. So we're waiting, we're bidding time. I've come to understand that the court, you have to be very patient. I can see that the Chief Justice is a very, very patient person. But we're confident that in the end, we'll get it right.
Lopez informed that the peace movement has embarked on a countrywide education campaign on the importance of holding a redistricting exercise before the general elections. When he appeared last on the media, Chairman of the Elections and Boundaries Commission, Doug Singh, explained that it would be too time-consuming to conduct a redistricting exercise before the general elections, and that it was the same people who are now trying to get the government to carry out the exercise that demanded that the re-registration be conducted first. But today, Belize Peace Movement member Bobby Lopez disagreed with Singh.
It's a matter of which comes first, the horse or the cart. We felt that you needed to re-register first, then with that information, you then redistrict. How can you redistrict and then re-register when you don't know what you have? No, that is totally absurd. Come on, Mr. Chairman, you're fully talk, but not fully listen. Really, you had to re-register first and then take that information and now create the boundaries of what would be nearly as equal constituencies across the country. From the last time that we did a redistricting, and it wasn't really a complete redistricting, technology has improved that we have been informed that a redistricting in this age could take nothing more than a week. In fact, one of the experts we spoke to, it's all technology now. He said, man, you'd be surprised how we could actually do it in hours once all the information is in there. And really, we have almost all the information just coming out of a re-registration, except for the corrupting of the list in the transfer months that took place, where we end up with 40 people living in a restaurant. Most of the information is still pretty intact.
You said it can be done within a week, and then you said within hours. In theory, it's possible, but these things are also, like election, very expensive. You have to mobilize people, you have to have strategies in place, you have to... So the logistics of it may not be so practical. What's your response to that?
I no longer want to hear excuses for us following our constitution. If we can spend millions of dollars on roads going nowhere, man, we could spend $2-3 million on getting this right. we say we are a democracy, then let's practice what democracy stands for. And the first pillar of democracy is fair representation. If you don't have that pillar in place, everything falls apart. And that's why we're seeing the decadence and the rule of law just not even respected by those who make the law, those who swore an oath of office that they would uphold the law and the Constitution, are actually saying they will fight us all the way to the appeal court to obey the Constitution. What ridiculous nonsense is that? No, man, no. Listen, we could find $2-3 million. It approximately it's $10 per vote, per voter. That gives you about $2 million, 200,000 times $10. Come on, we could find that and we could get this. I would probably be surprised if every Belizean wouldn't prefer to give their $10 to the government and say, let's get it right.
Lopez said the Belize People's Movement is willing to go into the schools to educate the youth on issues such as the redistricting. They also invite students to attend the court hearings so they can learn more about the matter. Supreme Court Justice Francis Cumberbatch today granted bail to 28-year-old Edgar Oriana. Oriana is charged with sexual assault upon a minor. The incident allegedly happened in the month of October 2019 in Belize City. Oriana was granted bail of $5,000 on the conditions that he must not interfere with the victim and that he reports to the police station every week. A Belize City man was taken before Magistrate Aretha Ford this afternoon to face a charge of aggravated assault upon his mother after he allegedly raised a pickaxe with which to hit her. The prosecution alleges that on March 5, 2020, Mauricio Limos went home on Bannock Street and asked his mother, Maria Enriquez, for $20, and when she told him she could only give him $5, he flew into a rage and tried to hit her with a pickaxe. But according to the prosecution, Enriquez's common-law husband ran to her rescue and prevented Limos from assaulting his mother. Limos denied the allegation, telling the court that he never asked for the money and that he would never assault his mother. He entered a not guilty plea and was granted bail of $1,000 on the condition that he must move out of the house. Limos promised to relocate to East Collet Canal. When we come back, in the first lap of the La Ruta Maya, Team Core is in the lead.
¿Qué mejor que textos
60 teams registered and competed in the first leg of the Belize Ruta Maya River Challenge. At 7 a.m. sharp, the canoes paddled down the winding McCall River for 50 miles to end at Banana Bank. With that, day one of the 4-day race was completed and Team Core out of San Ignacio captured the lead. The largest race in its 23-year history featured 104 teams, but that number has tapered off to about 60 teams annually. The organizers are now looking to introduce foreign athletes to the competition in the future. Annually, the canoe race creates entrepreneurial opportunities to the villages along the river bank. News 5's Dwayne Moody reports.
Team Core from San Ignacio wins the first leg of the 23rd annual La Ruta Maya River Challenge.
We were working out that the height of the river was different, and I think the last week the river went up, so it was very difficult for us. We weren't used to the river this height.
On a win by a small margin, talk to us about what will be the game plan going into tomorrow.
We'll just relax and then we'll discuss what's the plan. But for sure, we'll go out and race smart.
We have a love for the river. When the spirits of our ancestors see what we are doing for the river, those spirits will come up from the river, go into the powerful arms of these paddlers, give them push, and that's how we're going to win.
Proving to be a formidable opponent is the Lucas Oil team, which lost by seconds to Team Core in the first leg. Despite a rocky start, the team paddled strong to catch up to the leading teams. They later paced themselves to lose to the top team by a narrow margin after the 50-mile stretch. Clayton Cobb says that the plan is for Lucas Oil to win both overall and in the mixed category, for which that second team is in the first place.
It was anybody's race today. It was just a matter of staying with the crowd. We came out bad, so we had to chase all the way to Iguana Creek. And from there, we just decided to start pacing so that we could finish the race.
What's your strategy going in for tomorrow?
Well, tomorrow we should be able to rest. The river is high, so we should take it a little bit easier. So we'll try to rest because tomorrow is long. This year was really tough on the training. That's added expense, but we managed. The river is high today. That is different.
Your anticipation, do you think Lucas is going to win it, both overall as well as in the mix?
That's the plan. We cannot say anything. The race is open yet. We have 3 more days to go.
But what about defending champions niche? Well, today, unfortunately, they came in the top 6 after coming in over 5 minutes after the first canoe. Alexander Cruz and his teammate held down the fort as their third teammate is ill and could not make it to the end. While the time difference is huge, Cruz says that anything is possible.
The partner is sick about 1 week ago, so today he couldn't make it. Maybe he did just half of the stage. Yeah.
So this obviously puts you guys at a disadvantage. We saw that you didn't come in.
Yeah. We were coming 2 months, so we slowed down a lot. Yeah.
So you're admitting defeat one time, you're throwing in the hat, because how do you guys go forward as only 2 paddlers continue?
Well, we just came in one pace. Yeah, but we have 3 more days, so we'll see what happens in those 3 days. Maybe we can make up the time.
Taking up the canoe challenge is an expensive venture, and for the first time this year, Core, a community-based NGO out of the West, has partnered with the Department of Environment to field the leading group, at least at this stage. Acting Director Juan Polanco says that they are sharing in the environmental awareness and the cultural heritage of the sporting event.
We need to say that if we love our people, we love our community, if we love our river, we have to keep it clean. And that is why we are promoting keep the river clean, avoid the litter. If you don't need to use something, don't use it. And this is a good scenario. It's about river. And these guys have been doing a good job. And we decided to work with them because they know the river.
This is the first time that you guys are participating in this?
This is the first time. This is a community-based organization in Cayo. It all came up when we had the problems with the new river up north. We noticed that the Macal River is going in the same direction, so we decided to do something, and that's what we're doing, save the Macal River.
Vice President of the La Ruta Maya Planning Committee, Roberta Harrison, says that they're planning to take it a step further to possibly attract more foreign athletes to compete in the Belizean race.
From 3 years ago when we partnered with RSV, to see where we could take this race international. I think we still have a lot to do with it because we have to improve our laws. Perhaps there's the aspect of anti-doping that follows us. There's logistical arrangements that we have to make. There's quite a bit of work on the river that we have to do in terms of safety and rescue and all of it. So there's a lot of things that we need to put in place clearly that will allow us to go international, because there's a lot of other international races around the region that attract paddlers from around the world. So I think that we have that opportunity still on us to see how we can get foreigners to come and do this race and race against our best.
The event has grown over the 23 years to create entrepreneurial opportunities for the communities where the race ends, and has also evolved to include new technology in the race. Dwayne Moody for News 5.
Residents from the community of Santa Cruz in Stan Creek District journeyed to Belmopan on Thursday morning, where they picketed government over a land dispute in their village. At the heart of the argument is the approval of a lease granted to Belize Wind Energy Limited by the Ministry of Natural Resources. The lease, which was granted last year, allows the company to proceed with the development of 2,000 acres of land, which encompasses portion of Santa Cruz. Area Representative Rodwell Ferguson commented briefly on the situation.
So the people came out today and they want to protest, and so I'm supporting them 100%.
Sir, but could you tell us when this land lease or land title or whatever it was granted?
I believe was issued in November of 2018 to One Windmill Development Limited. It's a company.
Was there any consultation, as far as you know, with any of the chairpersons, current or former?
Absolutely no consultation. We haven't heard about even before the release was issued. I know the guy is not barricading the land that nobody can enter the property.
Okay, and that land encompasses, you said, 3 communities?
3 communities, in particular Santa Cruz. Some houses is a part of the 2,000 acres. So people are going to lose their homes, they are going to lose what they have.
Has there been any attempt to contact the principals of the company by yourself or by any of the chairpersons?
At the moment, no, because we just got the information in black and white about a day or 2 ago. And so now as we go back, we're going to look at that.
A 4-year project to spur greater benefits from the ocean was launched in collaboration with the Global Environment Facility and the Food and Agricultural Organization. The initiative is called the Blue Economy and involves 6 countries from the Caribbean. More than $46 million are being invested to maximize the marine economy. Here is Dwayne Moody with a report on the 2-day event.
A Blue Economy Caribbean Large Marine Ecosystem Plus initiative to promote national blue economy priorities in the region through marine spatial planning was officially launched today in Belize. The 4-year project is being funded through a grant from the Global Environment Facility and with co-financing from the Food and Agricultural Organization and the Development Bank of Latin America. The $46.2 million initiative is being executed by the Caribbean Regional Fisheries Mechanism.
In recent times, there's been a lot of attention and focus on the potential, the vast potential of the marine space, the ocean, and which is why it's called the blue economy and blue growth and ocean economy. The idea is we recognize that we can derive significantly greater benefits from this huge marine space that is available to us in the Caribbean and globally. So small island developing states in particular, but all coastal states, are very keen on developing the potential of this economy.
Data shows that in the Caribbean, marine ecosystems account for over 80% of CARICOM states and territories, which translates to millions of dollars in fisheries, tourism, ocean transportation, among other industries. It is critical to sustainable livelihoods of coastal communities and food security for markets regionally and internationally.
There are tremendous potential areas outside of the traditional areas of fisheries and tourism, such as pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, biotechnology, using biodiversity. So there's a lot of work that's taking place right now. And we have seen tremendous progress in some countries, mainly the developed countries, but also in the larger developing countries such as China.
The project was approved in November of 2019, and this phase will flesh out the detailed work plan for the 6 participating countries and relating agencies. Key is government's buy-in and commitment from the various stakeholders. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization plays a vital role in this initiative.
It will unlock the potential of the sector, the fisheries sector, in terms of the food and nutrition security of fisheries, in terms of livelihood of coastal communities, and in terms of income for the government, national income. But this needs to be done only if the threats and challenges that are facing the sector are addressed. And that's where FAO comes in with its expertise, because in terms of assisting the Caribbean countries in a sustainable management for their fisheries.
The project is expected to include climate-smart investment, international and regional marine spatial planning to inform strategies and to strengthen marine protected areas. Dwayne Moody for News 5.
Coming up after the break, the importance of washing your hands and a primary school basketball competition kicks off in Belize City.
The Belize Bank introduces its mortgage loan promotion
global perspective.
The worldwide death toll of COVID-19 continues on the rise, and health officials at the KHMH have a plan of action to be activated immediately when a case is confirmed, including isolation areas. The KHMHA Workers Union, however, is saying that the hospital's plan is not thought out well. A press release from the union expresses grave worries, stating, quote, "The general consensus from the KHMHA's staff is that the safety and well-being of those on the forefront were never taken into consideration when implementing the said plan of action," unquote. The union says that the hospital has unfavorable working conditions in some areas, it is understaffed, overworked, and the resources and equipment are lacking. The union states that morale is at an all-time low, and the KHMH staff is being asked to work in hostile conditions, and now there are risks presented by the COVID-19. As for the isolation area, the KHMH Workers Union is of the view that it is not up to international safety standards. The union asserts that the isolation area should be separate from the hospital's infrastructure, and thirdly, it is demanding that all healthcare workers be provided with proper personal protective equipment and compensation packages for volunteers and their families because of the high risk. If the concerns and demands are not addressed, union warns that it will take all necessary steps, including but not limited to industrial action. We contacted the Director of Health Services, Dr. Marvin Manzanero, who says that the KHMH Workers Union never consulted with his office before their release was issued, and that the DHS office has been working with the CEO at the KHMH. The Ministry of Health, along with UNICEF, Ministry of Education, SIF, Belize Red Cross, and other partners, has held a national consultation for the Wash and Sanitation Hygiene Initiative for Belize. The partners pledged to continue to work together as they reviewed the initiative's standard operating procedures. Chair of the WASH multi-sectoral body, Kathleen Azweta Cho, says that the event is very timely and highlights the need for increased hygiene and sanitation measures in light of the spread of COVID-19 around the world.
Today we're having that consultation or that discussion. We're reviewing what is our standard operating procedures for schools and communities. And it's basically some existing tools that are already in place. And these include, some of these components include hygiene, sanitation, operation and maintenance, proper nutrition. And again, the idea is to revisit these areas and see how well we could implement these initiatives in the schools, in the institutions where students are using the bathroom facilities, where they're getting the education on hand hygiene, things like that. We do need to work on the facilities when we look at the infrastructure of the bathroom facilities that some of the schools have. The standards do need to be revisited, hence why we have these procedures, we're reviewing them. And a key partner in that is SIF. They bring that hard component, which is, looking at the construction of these facilities. And this is where the other technical individuals come in, or the other technical ministries like the health and education, because we're bringing that softer component, pushing the education, the importance of hand washing, the importance of maintaining the infrastructure and the facilities in place. And we are working toward that, but we do have to have that discussion with the people on the ground who are utilizing these facilities. Something as simple and basic as hand washing. It's a key protective role in epidemics, and you're right, we're facing a public health emergency of international concern. So hand washing can save lives. And we're pushing the messages. We're going into the communities, we're going into the schools, we're doing it at home. I know my daughter comes home, brings the message to us. So it's only going to be stressed furthermore the partnership will be strengthened as we move into this start phase where preparing and implementing actions should we get a case of COVID-19.
UNICEF has been championing the WASH initiative as clean water, basic toilets, and good hygiene practices are needed for survival and development of children. The WASH team works in over 100 countries worldwide to improve water and sanitation services as well as basic hygiene practices. Denise Roberto of UNICEF shares more about their role.
UNICEF supports the multi-sectoral body significantly with technical expertise from the region, whatever is needed, as well as with resources. What happened is that we do work in water, sanitation, and hygiene in schools. We've supported remodeling of bathrooms or physical infrastructure. You have other stakeholders like the Belize Social Investment Fund that also do a lot of work in water, sanitation, and hygiene. And the physical infrastructure is just one part. The soft side of that work is the change of behavior. It's the communication, it's the practices that we want to see, such as proper hygiene, hand washing, healthy students, healthy communities. And to accomplish that, we have to work together. So today, UNICEF is supporting the stakeholder consultation. We are also supporting the work of the development of a standard operating procedures for WASH in schools and in communities. All of these different partners are now sitting together as a multi-sectoral body to develop this guideline to say these are the things that should be considered so that there is sustainability for this work and so that there are better practices in our community.
As part of the second road safety project, the building capacity in drivers through the Defense Driving Training course ended today in Belize City. Led by Dennis Molina of the Belize Institute of Management, the goal of the course was to improve road user behavior. Participants learned the discipline of defensive driving and vehicle maintenance with 3 fundamental principles: recognizing the hazard, understanding the defense, and acting in time. Chief Transport Officer Tirso Galvez says the course is expected to lead to a 20% reduction in road traffic crashes and injuries.
Defensive driving is basically very important because it is you who are out on the road, and you have to be driving for other people out there. You need to look out for other people's mistakes, and you must learn to see things before it happens. So with that said, I want to thank you. I want you all to, when you go back to your respective offices or place, that you put into practice what you have learned here today or during this few days, and share the experience, share the knowledge, because knowledge is power.
More than 500 teachers from 11 Catholic high schools countrywide today gathered at the St. Catherine Auditorium for a Catholic Educators Conference. The conference is the culmination of Catholic Week, where educators come together to share ideas, concerns, and solutions that teachers face on a daily basis. This year, the teachers were grasped by a presentation given by attorney Richard Dickey Bradley on the Equal Opportunities Bill. Palatine Sister Clara Teul says it is important for the teachers to be familiar with the bill.
Every 2 years we have different theme where we work with our theme. This year we have Catholic schools. We have we talk about lead, learn, serve, lead, succeed. So that's the whole idea of what we are about, that we prepare our children for the world. And the common issue we know right now that's challenging our country, that is plaguing our country, I should say, is immorality. Values. It's no more as once upon a time. There's lots of broken families. And so the challenge that we see in the classroom with our students, more and more you find students being disrespectful. More and more you find students not caring about education, and so we still try to nurture by trying to care for them spiritually, putting more God first. And from there, because our first teacher is Jesus Christ himself. And so I think those are the challenging, especially with these challenging moments of all these bills that are passing. The purpose of the conference is to educate teachers to be well equipped to go back to the classroom. For example, with this equal opportunity bill, I think our educators need to know more about how we will be preparing ourselves for this bill.
Well, from a legal point of view, the drafting of many of the sections, they are disturbing. Lawyers tend to be concerned about things which say, any law which says that a person has no right to appear in front of the Equal Opportunities Commission when they are dealing with a matter affecting that person. That is actually anathema to lawyers and to the courts. Everybody have a right to be heard. You have a right to be heard. The proposed law says there is no right to be heard. In fact, it says that they don't want lawyers to come to the commission. They may decide if they want, but lawyers, you don't have a right to take a lawyer with you. As you would know, even criminals have a right to take lawyers to court to assist them in presenting their side of the story. And it is also saying that once you go to the Court of Appeal, that is final. You can't go in the case of the Caribbean Court of Justice, you can't. And there are many other sections that are troubling to lawyers.
Today, the National Primary School Basketball Championship 2020 was held at the Mexico Sports Center in Belize City. 6 schools, 1 from Corozal, 1 from Orange Walk, 2 from Sand Creek, 1 from the Belize District, and 1 from Toledo competed for medals, trophies, and an opportunity to represent Belize at the next Codicadere Games. This morning, when we stopped by, we spoke with Kaya Katus of the National Sports Council about the championship games.
Schools from all over the country represent their district at the finals today. In the past, at the National Sports Council, we used to go from district finals straight into the nationals. Now we have added an extra part to the tournament, which is the semifinals, which allows the kids to travel to different districts, get to know different places in their country, instead of just, always coming to Belize City. So in the semifinals, we had Orange Walk travel to Toledo, we had Cayo travel to Sand Creek, and we had Belize District travel to Corozal.
And so today, talk to us about the teams that are here.
So the teams that are here are the winners from the semifinals. The only district not represented is the Cayo District. Everyone else got at least one team to represent at the nationals. What we do, we host tournaments in all the districts. They get to play within their zone. For example, in the Belize District, we have the city, the rural areas, and the Keys. The winners from those zones come to the district finals in Belize City, and they play against each other to represent their district at the semifinals. What we do from the Sports Council, we try to assist the schools as best as possible, getting a coordinator in there to assist them with coaching, training, teaching the teachers and stuff like that. The incentive for winning this tournament is to represent their country at the Codicadere Games. So we have changed the age, we have changed the rules to suit the Codicadere rules so that what they're practicing here, when they do win and they get selected to represent their country, they have already played an entire tournament under the same set of rules, with the same kids. So definitely we do prepare them to represent Belize.
Now, you've been watching the games, it just started, but what do you think so far of their performance?
I was sitting at the male court, and it was Wesley Upper School from Belize City versus St. Peter Claver from Toledo, and all these kids are 13 years and under, and they're showing exceptional talent. For the females, as with every sport, we do need to work a bit more on development. At this level, girls are a little more behind than the males. However, they still do their thing. They come to the tournament, they participate.
At the end of the championship in the female category, Louisiana Government School of Orange Walk took first place. San Antonio Government School of Corozal took second, while Holy Ghost Primary of Sand Creek came in third. In the male category, Wesley Upper of Belize District took first place, while St. Alphonsus of Stan Creek took second place, and St. Peter Claver of Toledo got third. Elva Nunez and Thomas Garcia took home the MVP titles. In other news, a basketball tournament is also being held on March 8th at the Jane Usher Basketball Court in Belize City. The events commence at 10 a.m. on Sunday with a kite competition where participants can sign up and win cash in several categories based on size, distance, and best design. Later that day, from 2:30 to 30 p.m. to 10 p.m., the basketball tournament gets underway. For first place will win $700 and second place will win $500. And that's the news. Don't forget that tonight's broadcast is available in both text and streaming video at channel5belize.com. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page at facebook.com/News5Live. I'm Charlie Hutchinson. Thanks for joining us. And from all of us here at News 5, have a happy and safe weekend. Good night.